Good morning, everybody. BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers play the Sixers tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, here in Los Angeles. Home cooking, LA. We finally made it back to the crib after a very, very bad road trip. 1-4. And we only beat the Toronto Raptors. And even that game was very close to being a loss, given the fact that we had a 27-point lead and squandered it all the way down to 6. I don't think we've looked that good since we had that 27-point lead. I don't think the Lakers have been in a good spot ever since. We've been losing to the likes of Detroit, Memphis. Before the Toronto game, we lost to Phoenix and Cleveland, and we're just in a bad spot. We really need the game that we have tonight. Not only do we need it because we need a win and we're home, we need it because we get a chance to take a breather against a team that's just as depleted as us. No Tyrese Maxey, no Joel Embiid. And the Philadelphia 76ers have also lost 4 of the last 5 games. In fact, they are 1-6 as of right now. Joel hasn't played a single game. I made a video on Philadelphia last night, or yesterday afternoon, rather. I encourage everybody to check it out. But we talked a little bit about what my opinion is on their team, and I got on Joel Embiid about an attitude, opinion that I have about his attitude, so about a few things. But whatever the case may be, I just think that the Philadelphia 76ers are exactly the type of team we need to be running into. Can you consider it a trap game? Anytime you go up against a team that's not very good for any reason, it's a trap game. But I think we just needed a team that we can run up against that maybe could, give us an opportunity to be able to match up a bit better. And without Tyrese on the floor, they don't have a speed demon running past us. And from what I understand, we got some good news. AD is probable for the night. He's going to try to give it a go. From what I understand, it's a contusion, meaning a bruise on the foot. So it's about a pain tolerance kind of thing for him, from what I've been told, rather than concerned about it being a further injury. But even then, I want him to play without pain. I need him to have full range of motion, and I need him to not be hobbling around, potentially injuring something else because of it. That's a real thing. So that's what I'm concerned with. That's why I wouldn't mind if they sat him tonight. But they say he's probable. Also, Rui Hachimura looks like he may be able to go for this one after being out with some type of illness. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he seems to be ready to go. So I'm not really sure if he'll actually go tonight or not, but it's looking positive there. Of course, we got Koloko back in the last game. He looked pretty good, blocked a shot, got a dunk. So that's encouraging. So all things considered, it looks like we're on the verge of becoming a bit more of what we were before we left for the road trip. And that's really important because our team has been depleted, and it showed against Detroit and, of course, against Memphis, where we just weren't ourselves. Guys were ailing, missing guys, that kind of thing. We didn't look healthy. And even though Braun has been, really good, particularly against Memphis, he had 39 points. All in all, we couldn't compete with the Memphis Grizzlies in the second half. Bunch of old Lakers, Jay Huff, Pippen, they just ran past us, man. And so, our deficiencies on the defensive end, athletically, transition defense particularly, shooting the ball, inefficiency from our backcourt specifically, it's just been rough, man. It's been really rough. We haven't been able to really get anything going on either side of the court. Footage is coming out of D'Angelo Russell shooting a 3 in that Memphis game, and then coach banging the chair repeatedly. It's really, the frustrations are running high, and it doesn't seem like there's a way out of these circumstances, so people just have to deal with them. And this is a type of game where we can find a way to, if we play hard enough, we should get the victory. I said that about Detroit, but Detroit really did have a bunch of athletes that could run past us, as I said. Memphis, without AD, we didn't have a prayer. And so, those games looked as if you were going up against a lesser team, but you really weren't. This is a team that you should beat. This is a team that can't get a win for themselves. This is a team that's best player out there is Paul George, who just got back 2 games ago after dealing with his own injuries. And while you need to respect Paul George can go really off, I don't know that he's in the type of conditioning to allow himself to be that old Paul George or step into that. But you don't want to toy around with Paul George. That's at the end of the day, you don't want to toy around with Paul George. Giselle Yabusele is also a player I know whose elevator can go pretty high. He's a rookie that they got. He played in the Olympics with the African team. I don't remember exactly which country, and I keep getting it wrong, but the one that Luol Deng funded. He really made a name for himself, a big guy. So he's the first name that comes to mind because I just know that if they feed him enough, he's already proven he can go crazy against high-level talent in the Olympics. So I don't think his role is really massive with the Sixers, but this is a night where now that they're down all their stars, I think you're going to see more Kelly Oubre's, more Jared McCain, guys like that. You know, they'll probably feed Drummond a bit more. Definitely be careful with him on the boards because we've had issues with that. So, you know, they still have some elements that can, excuse me, that can hurt you. But they are a bit depleted out there. So, yeah, that's what's going on, man. I just watched highlights from their last 2 games. Against the Clippers. They're having a LA back-to-back road trip. And, you know, Clippers ran past them with athleticism, continuing to get into the paint. You know, James Harden fighting off his old team. Must have been a lot of fun for him to get a victory there. But, yeah, Philly went into the Intuit Dome and had trouble with, you know, Kai Jones and Derek Jones Jr.'s high flyers and stuff like that. We're continuing to really rain down on them. So that's kind of how that went for them. And in the game before that, they played against the Phoenix Suns, where they actually had like a 7-point lead with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and just blew it. Kevin Durant just, you know, picked them apart in the last 3 minutes and took the victory from them. And then before that, they saw the last 2 teams we saw, the Detroit Pistons and the the Memphis Grizzlies. And if I'm not mistaken, they lost both of those as well. So, you know, as I said, they only won 1 game. And if I'm not mistaken, the game they won was against Indy randomly. So, you know, I don't have any doubt that the Los Angeles Lakers should be able to get this victory because they're down 2 out of their 3 stars. And when you have the 3-star model, it's very difficult to maintain injuries. 2 guys go down and suddenly you're missing half your team. And so that's kind of how they're constructed. And, you know, you got to pay attention to guys like Kyle Lowry, who, from what I understand, looks done, but you never can tell with a guy like Kyle. He'll string together 5 threes, have a renaissance game, and all of a sudden you're beat. So you just got to take guys like that very seriously. You know, that's really what it is. So they're just very depleted. Guys like Caleb Martin aren't really playing that well, but I'd imagine he could have a big game tonight since he's going to be featured more. And that's really what it comes down to. This is a trap game in a sense, that you can do all kinds of homework on the Philly game. You can watch these last 4 games from the Philadelphia 76ers and still not necessarily know what you're going to be running into tonight because of the fact that they removed Tyrese Maxey from their lineup and they have to adjust. So that means other people are going to be getting some of those minutes and playing different roles. But the good thing is that because they're not used to playing those roles, they're going to be taking on more difficult defense, quote-unquote defense, if we actually play any. And that could put them in a very uncomfortable and disadvantaged position as a depleted basketball team. So we're just doing great, man, as it pertains to this particular opponent versus the circumstances we've been going through. This is exactly who we need to run into. We don't need to be running into no good Western Conference team. We don't need to be running into no Bostons and nothing like that. We need to play the Philadelphia 76ers while they're going through this right now. And so that is why I really want the Lakers to take this game seriously and capture this victory. We need to stop the bleeding on our own situation. We're 4-4. Like I said, we've lost 4 out of the last 5 games, but we're undefeated at home, and here we are with another home game. You know, we went on the road, and we learned some things, sent Bronny to the G League as scheduled. You know, that's now in place. He's going to get his G League minutes. And, you know, we got to regroup. We got to figure out who we're going to be now. We know that we can win at home, but can we get back to playing the way we were, or do we have a new identity as a team that's not very good? Because we definitely just established that in the road. And so that's where we're at, man. This Philadelphia 76er game should be a breath of fresh air, so long as nothing weird happens. And, you know, Paul George doesn't go off for 50 points or something like that, which is, you know, that's something that we're tasked for keeping him from doing. And so, you know, JJ has to reel it in, man. Our coach is going to have to understand that, you know, certain things you say about certain players can make it so that those players even further walk away from the table, so to speak. He said some things about D'Angelo Russell. I thought he said in a kind way, but it's still going to call D'Lo out. D'Lo's intelligent enough to know when he's been called out, and I just don't know that under his circumstances, with what he's been dealing with, he's going to respond in a positive way to that. Shots have been missing. He seems to, you know, have lost his way as it pertains to certain aspects of the game that we need him to be focused on. And, you know, you're a new coach, JJ, you know what I'm saying? Guys are not necessarily ready to be yielding to you. You were a player just 5 minutes ago. So it's going to get weird around here if D'Lo becomes despondent even further. He has been missing shots, but we're really not that great of a team if he's not going to be a part of what we're doing at a high level. And hopefully JJ's pressing the right button for this young person. Well, D'Lo ain't that young, but you get the point. Hopefully he's pressing the right button for D'Lo. He's a vet now, and he needs to play better. But D'Lo ain't the only person that needs to be called out if we're going to be calling out players who ain't playing well. And that's really what it comes down to. We got a whole team of people who ain't really playing well right now. And so that's my point of view. we can blame and we can do this, that, and the third, but it's not going to be, you know, calling people out that's going to ultimately get them to playing better. We're going to have to get it done in the practice gym. We're going to have to get it done as a unit together, communication. And a lot of stuff needs to stay in-house, including our frustration with others within it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. So I just think it's too early. I don't think JJ knows these guys well enough to kind of be pressing the buttons he's pressing, especially when some of the problems that we have out there may potentially be because guys don't know one another that well, and because guys haven't had the minutes and developed well and all of that. So, you know what I mean? There's some things that we all have to do better in this organization, and I just hope we're not pushing one another away too soon. Just because things go bad does not mean we panic. Obviously, we know we're at a disadvantage with our roster. Obviously, we know Shaq is not walking through that door, as it was so famously said in the past. You know, these type of things are you fix what you have with what it is that you have, and you live with the results. And that's what we got to do. This ain't the time to be wigging out. It's barely the beginning of the season, bro. If you already banging your chair and calling people out 10 games into the season, it's going to be a madhouse by the end of it. So that's just really what I'm wondering about. He could be pressing the right button, and if it works out, if D'Lo comes out and has a 30-point game, then we know what time it is. But you know, this is one of the situations where we had D'Lo on this team for 2 stints. Now he's been here for 2.5 years on this stint, and he's not somebody that responds well to being called out, as far as I can tell. That doesn't push his button in a positive way. And while you don't want to coddle guys, you also don't want to push them further away when they're already damn struggling. So yeah, man, I just want to, see the Los Angeles Lakers take advantage of a depleted 76er team, and I'm hoping that the 76ers don't take advantage of a fractured Laker team, because that very easily could be what happens tonight. We come out flat, they come out intentional and play a team game, and all of a sudden they got 5 players in double figures, 6 players in double figures. We don't want to see that. The things are looking bleak over there for them. Things are looking bleak for us, so this could be a clash of the Titans. I've seen games like this be really ugly. I've seen games like this be classic. But these are 2 teams that definitely would be best for seeing one another. That's really what it comes down to. I think they probably look at this one as the best chance for them to get a road victory in a long time, because of how we've had issues and things of that nature, and how poorly we play in transition. And they do have players that can attack us in transition. That's what it comes down to. McCain, Abuzelli, Paul George, they can make things happen in the fast break. They're not devoid of that ability. So we need to be pretty aware of that. And like I said, Drummond is a guy who's going to get boards. We've had issues with the boards over the last couple of games, So if Drummond goes off for like 17 rebounds, it wouldn't have surprised me at all. We need to do something about that, though. So, it'd be great if Austin Reeves can have an efficient game. We're getting to a point where Austin Reeves is attempting a lot of shots, and he's only making a few of them consistently. I would love for that to stop. I like his aggression, but we're living with too many missed shots coming from our backcourt. Between him and D'Lo, they're shooting a lot and they're missing a lot, and that's not it. Now, one thing I did like about the last game, the Memphis game, is we attempted 43 threes. Although we didn't shoot the greatest percentage of those threes, we've upped our volume, and I thought that was a very important thing that we missed out on in the game against the Detroit Pistons, where basically the numbers told me we just simply didn't attempt enough threes. So in this game, Philadelphia, depending on how they're operating, they could be a team that launches a lot of threes. We saw that last year. We got on them, came into their building thinking they were going to attack in the paint because, they had Joel at the time, and they ended up launching a million threes against us and killing us that way. So with that being something on our mind, we just need to play some perimeter defense and make sure that our three-point volume is at a respectable, height. And so that's really my thinking. I just don't want to be caught off guard by the Philadelphia 76ers, a hobbled team. But they do have a healthy Paul George. And when you got Paul George down there, they're not devoid of a star-level talent. That's what it really comes down to. They paid him a lot of money. This is year one of a contract. This is his third game in the uniform, and he's coming home. Paul George is obviously from L.A. He obviously played with the Clippers for the last several years. So this is an important game for him. He lost the Clipper game. He's going to want to win the Laker game, and we need to make sure he doesn't. We got Bron. We got AD, potentially. We got more star power than Philly right now. They don't have that speed demon Tyrese Maxey to run past our guards. We should be down there with Jared McCain and Caleb Martin, and that should be more than enough for us to keep up with. But at the same time, we should be able to keep up with them with our backcourt. So I just want to see us have effort tonight, man. I want to see Rui bounce back if he's healthy. I want to see him get more than 8.7 rebounds. 2010 Rui is the Rui that we need, and we need to feature him more. Hopefully we can get a good max game. Hopefully Cam Reddish can continue playing the way that he's been playing on the road. He's been the lone bright spot, in my opinion, in regards to this road trip. And really proud of what we're seeing there. You know what I mean? But what we really need all of our guys to step up and capture this victory. See, this is probably the easiest game in the schedule thus far. And treat it like it's important to get the victory. So the Lakers will be wearing their white, we're going to be wearing our yellow uniforms, home uniforms. The Philadelphia 76ers will be wearing the whites. And, hopefully we can get the win tonight, man. This is a gimme game, if ever there was one. This 76er team is in the toilet with their morale, the way they're playing. All of that is bad. They're getting run past by everybody. They're on the tail end of their road trip. They should be a bit tired and depleted. Tyrese Maxey went down. It's a lot of stuff that should weigh against their minds. Sometimes teams come together in situations like this. Other times teams fall apart in situations like this. And, they're having a hard time. They're not really playing their young guys as much as maybe they would be benefiting for doing so. It's more Kyle Lowry out there, more Caleb Martin out there. They're really struggling. So if they come in here with the same game plan, this is one of the rare nights where we should actually have more foot speed and more power than the team that we're going up against, which is something that we've had issues with. We should be able to be a bit more athletic than them in theory, although Kelly Oubre could have something to say about that. But, I don't pride them with being a team that's going to outmatch us tonight without their big dogs. So that's really what it is, man. I would not be upset if the Lakers rested somebody tonight, knowing that this is the circumstance, although we really do need a win. I wouldn't be upset if we set Bron or AD or even both of them tonight. I think we could actually still compete with Philly without those guys, believe it or not. But as bad as we need a win, I'm pretty sure that's not what we'll see. So more power to our Lakers for fighting through regardless. And let's get a victory tonight, man. We lose this game, we really got problems. Given all the circumstances that Philly's going through, the fact that they've only won one game on the season. You lose tonight, and the tone is going to be a bit different around here. I'm just going to be honest, especially if we lose with AD on the floor. So, we need to get our act together. This is a prime opportunity for us to do that. And I do expect the Lakers to get the win tonight. So that's pretty much my thought, man. Of course, we've already mentioned who the Philadelphia 76ers are missing by default. I don't think it's any surprise. Joel is suspended for 3 games after pushing a media member in a locker room at some point in the last week and a half. Of course, Maxey, as we've been talking about continuously here, and that's who they're missing right now. I don't think anybody else was actually on the injury report now that I think about it. But that doesn't mean that the team isn't struggling bad, because like I said, that's a 3-star model. 2 of those players gone, and you're using a bunch of role players and Paul George. So that's what it is. And for us, we're happy Koloko's back. And, most of our players are still, dealing with what they're dealing with. They're going to try to play through, though. Vanderbilt and Wood are out, as we know. And, of course, I've already mentioned Bronny's going to be with the G League. And I don't think we called up anybody from the G League. So we're still limited down there. But at least we got Koloko in place. And AD and Rui should be back potentially, so long as they don't have any setbacks of what they were dealing with. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I hope the Lakers are able to squeeze out a victory tonight, or even get a blowout and rest our starters, Most times we're not going to see a Philly team that you can push past like this. All the more reason why it's important we capture this win, because we see them again in January, and I'd imagine it's going to be an entirely different dynamic. So let's try to get this one, man. This is an important game to win. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.